Hey guys, episode 12 of the crypto and Bitcoin portfolio series. A bit of a slow week this week, down £3,000. Most coins sort of down about 3 to 5%. There's no real sort of standout coins. Bitcoin sort of down 1.7%, and then the altcoins sort of obviously a little bit worse, tend to do that when Bitcoin goes down a bit. Most of the altcoins, a little bit like sort of gold and silver. When gold goes down a little, silver will go down quite a lot. When Bitcoin goes down, the altcoins will generally go down quite a bit more, unless they're having some sort of particular development that may cause them to go up or down significantly more or less. So some of the bigger holdings sort of still down a couple of percent here and there, sort of 5%, some of them. Litecoin there, 4%. Some of the smaller cap, once you start getting out of the top 10, they're sort of moving down a little. Things like Tron, 3%. Basic attention token, 3%, and Dash, I think, was down, 3%. So I thought I'd show you a little bit more of the longer term, so I can show my portfolio sort of from the beginning. It doesn't show everything perfectly, but so I bought my back in sort of mid to late 2013, I bought 10 Bitcoin for £228 each, and sort of held that. That was an average, so it was a sort of 6 months from the middle of 2013 to the end of 2013. I was sort of buying one here, two there. So some were at £137, some were at, I think, £380 was the highest. And then I held that all the way through. They sort of went to about £1,000 each at the end of 2013 and beginning of 2014. Then we had a huge crash. Doesn't really show it here. Not too sure why it doesn't sort of start updating until you get to the next bull run. So we had the May 2020 or July 2016 halving, and then it started to sort of really pump up. That's where it starts updating on the chart. So I was towards the end of 2017 was when I started diversifying into altcoins. So I didn't really put any new money into these. I sold about 3 Bitcoin into various altcoins, and I bought £125 each of Ripple and Dash at the time, which were good buys. Dash, I think, was about £3 each, and Ripple was, I think, 0.03 pence. So Ripple's now sort of 20 pence. So it's a pretty good buy. Dash in the highs went up to I think about £1,200. So from £3, I understand I really should have sold. And you then see, as we sort of went into the sort of crazy bull run in late 2017, I did go up to 195,000. I think even if I drop to the 3-year, it sort of shows a little bit, it shows 215,000. So I sold when the Bitcoin Cash fork happened back here. I had held my 10 Bitcoin when the fork happened. So I got 10 Bitcoin cash, and I sold all 10. I converted the Bitcoin cash back into Bitcoin, and I sold. Yes, I think I sold 1 Bitcoin and all 10 Bitcoin cash for about £5,000, and that was when I was sort of putting some more money into altcoins, and then when it got right to the top, near enough to the top, I think I sold about half a Bitcoin when it was £13,000. Sort of thinking that I would average my sales up. Probably a little bit naive to think 215 grand was not the top. Should have been sort of averaging up earlier than that, but you live and learn. So I got more than my original stake, about 4 or 5 times my original payment of £2,280. So I was still fairly happy. I thought I would hold. So as you started to see the huge drops, I thought might have been just a brief pullback. Then the drop started to get worse, as you can see. Not dissimilar to the sort of 2014 bear market. So I just held through that and thought, well, if it has to be another couple of years, 3 years maybe, then I'll just have to hold again. So I haven't had 4 times my money out of it. I was pretty happy. Obviously a little annoyed that I could have had sort of a lot more. Probably I wouldn't have sold all 200,000, but I could have maybe took out 50k and left sort of 150 on the table, and then when the sort of the bottoms came, I could have put a lot of that back in and had a lot more now, but I decided to hold. So you learn by your mistakes, and so late 2018 was sort of pretty much the bottoms. I think February 2019 it shows as the bottom. If I go on to the 2-year chart, probably shows a slightly similar bottom, sort of around there, about 28,000. So that was the low point where I was then starting to put some new money into altcoins. That was where I started buying the sort of various EOS and Cardano and Tron and that sort of thing, because they were sort of saw them as decent coins for the future, but they were sort of even more heavily down than Bitcoin. Bitcoin was down about 85% at these points, and the sort of Trons and Cardanos and that sort of thing were down, I think, 90 to 95%. So I thought, just put a bit of new money in and see if we can sort of capitalise on some of those gains. So so I was putting probably a couple of thousand in at these sort of levels, and then into 2019 you start to have the sort of next bull run, or what we thought was the bull run. Probably was maybe a bit too early, so you had a bit of euphoria, sort of getting up to, I think the heights then in June 2019, Bitcoin was about $14,000, and that was sort of a local high. Then it sort of came back down, as you can see. Wasn't really buying any altcoins. I've never bought any more Bitcoin since the beginning, so I was only buying altcoins mainly because I didn't want to. Obviously my average on Bitcoin is about £228, And here we were, even at the lows, you sort of at £2,500. So I didn't want to be raising my average buy price that much. So I thought I would get into altcoins, as I didn't have sort of any positions in them. So November last year, December and January, I was buying a lot of altcoins. So I think I'd invested then probably about £6,000 or £7,000, having already cashed out about 10. I was pretty happy to just sort of put some of that profit back into new altcoins. And then, so February we had a bit of a bump, but obviously then we were then coming into COVID, and Bitcoin obviously crashed even harder than the stock market. So this was new lows. And again, I was sort of filling up on a bit more altcoins at this time, and I think this was sort of pretty much where I'd put my final investments in. Haven't invested anything more since about April. That was again in sort of Cardano and Tron, and a little bit more Civic, that sort of thing, and Amisa Go. And I think this takes me up to about £8,000 or £9,000 invested. So I thought that was a comfortable level. If it all goes to zero, then I'm still in profit. But I can't see it going to zero, to be honest. And then, so that sort of takes you to the more recent moves. Going from sort of the lows in April up to the sort of recent highs when Bitcoin was about $12,000. Come down a bit since then, and sort of hoping it'll start to have the new bull run, with it being, it's been about 5 months now since the halving, generally sort of within a year to 18 months after the halving tends to be the new bull market. So hoping sort of towards the end of the year, early next year, we should see the $20,000 high again, and hopefully sort of beyond from there into next year. So thought that'd just give you a bit more insight as to the history behind my investment, and show you sort of the gains that can be made. So certainly leave your comments and thoughts below, and like and subscribe if you want to see more. See you soon.